Hello everyone, my name is Kid Lee, and it is time to take a look at New World. This is an upcoming MMORPG from the developers at Amazon Games. Now, MMOs are very big games, and it can be difficult to look over everything in a single video, so I'm going to sort of boil this down into different topics, and at the end of the video, I'm going to give you my overall thoughts, along with hopefully we'll be able to answer the question of, who do I think this game is for? As far as our topics, we're going to take a look at character creation, the world, combat, crafting and gathering, the faction system, PvP and PvE, housing, and more. Let's go ahead and kick things off at the beginning with character creation. The character creator in New World is what I would call a very standard MMO character creator. As we go through this here real quick, you're able to select between your male and female options. There's a nice selection of different faces to choose from. We've got different skin tones, lots of different hairstyles along with color. So if you want to go with those pinks and purples and reds and all that stuff, you can totally do it. Just kind of roll through some of these. I'd say that, the hairstyles are pretty good, and they have the male ones mixed together with the female ones so that you can do whatever you want. Speaking of that, if you want a nice, goatee on your lady, you can totally do that. Or, beard, mustache, whatever. Got a nice selection of different eye colors, like that blue, very blue. The features are essentially birthmarks. You have, different kinds of freckles, and then there's some items like that on the left and the right side that you can do. Let's go with the light freckling there. A nice selection of facial scars that you can choose from. One thing that would be pretty cool that this game doesn't do is there's some other games out there that actually let you do a color of the facial scar, or at least have an opacity meter so you can make it sort of lighter or darker. And then finally, we do have a bunch of tattoos. For a game like this, I think a lot of people like doing the Norse eyes, if that's what you want to call them. So there's actually several different versions of the Norse eyes, along with a bunch of other just sort of general tattoos on either the left or the right. But for the character creator, that's pretty much it. Like I said, pretty standard, nothing too crazy there. So let's go ahead and jump into the next topic, which is the world. When I had a chance to play this game for the first time, the first thing that blew me away was the world. In particular, the environments. This has to be the best looking MMO that I've ever played. Just the way that the world is put together, the lighting, the shadows, the foliage, the ground, the animals, everything. This game is just absolutely beautiful. And one thing that really surprised me about the environment is how thick it is, how dense the forest can be at times. It's like you try and compare this to so many other MMOs and it almost doesn't compare. It's like you stop and you look at this shot here for a second and it's like there's fog in the area and you can see the wind blowing and the grass moving and the trees sort of moving a little bit. It's absolutely fantastic. And one of the funny things about this, for people who have been trying to stream it or record videos, because there's been so much foliage in this game, it can actually really mess with your bit rate when trying to create a really good looking video. So one of the really cool features about this game, we'll actually go ahead and pull up the map here for a second. So here is the world of New World, so to speak. And a couple things I want to point out here, and then there are other elements that we'll get into later. I've spent a little over 20 hours in the closed beta. That 20 hours, essentially, if you were to draw a circle, would be from here to here, down to here, and you just kind of make a circle right here. That's 20 hours for me. So if you zoom out, you can see exactly how big the world is with these individual colored zones. And I think when I play this game for real, that time is probably going to be even longer because I'm really going to spend a lot of time, you know, doing quests, doing side quests, doing the crafting and gathering and all that fun stuff. Another really cool feature about this game, just regarding the world, is within each zone, you actually have your own level. So here on the left side, if we click on territory standings, you'll see that in Everfall, I am a level 10. So as you are in a zone and you are doing anything, you know, hunting, gathering, crafting, your quests, whatever, you are actually gaining a level within that zone. Each time you level up, you get to pick from a passive, and you can see the passives that I actually have over here on the right side. So some examples are decreased trading tax, decreased crafting fees, increased gathering speed, more storage, more XP, more territory standing, so forth and so on. And that's one thing that this game does quite a bit, sort of levels within levels. But it's a very neat system that just, as I mentioned, you're just out doing your thing and you're actually gaining levels. So here, just to show you a little bit more gameplay, we're actually gonna run back to the road here, and we're actually gonna walk to one of the towns where I can show you a couple more of the in-game systems regarding the world. When I was filming this, I actually thought the sun was gonna set, but I think it's actually more like midday, even though all the torches are still going. So here is one of the towns in this game, and one really cool thing is all of the towns are player-run. There's games in the past that have done that, and there are games that are coming out that are also doing that. But over here is the town hall, and from here I'll be able to show you a couple of interesting features. You can see some people here in the closed beta hanging out doing their thing. So as we enter in the town hall, we have right here the territory planning board. So as I mentioned, the towns are player run, and as a community, everybody has to work together to upgrade these towns. So you can currently see Everfall has 21 of 39 upgrades, and then it's then broken down into 3 different categories. Now the castle, which is actually your fort in the area, has its own tiers: Fort, Bastion, Keep, Castle, Citadel. And then there are different weapon systems within the fort that you can upgrade as well. So you can see the repeaters are a T2, the oil vat's a T2, explosive T3, so forth and so on. So again, the community has to work together to actually upgrade these things. Now, a bit more interesting perhaps, if we go to Upgrade Village, this is actually where you get into some of the deeper crafting of the game. So all of the crafting stations also have the ability to be upgraded. So you can see the forge is currently a T5, outfitting station is a T2, workshop T4, so forth and so on. And then finally, down here on Improved Lifestyle, there are active buffs that are happening over here on the left side, and then you can kind of see some more that are available. Now, one of the other things regarding the players running the town, you can come up here to the governor's desk, and you can see that Everfall is currently being run by Sweat and Tears. You can see when they've last had it, how many upgrades they've done, taxes and fees, payroll, all of that fun stuff if you're actually in charge of the town. Now, one way that people are able to help out in some of the things that I just mentioned is over here. There is a town project board, and this actually goes into a little bit of the PvE system that is in the game. So you can see right here, under town upkeep, there are actually some quests that you can pick up. Now, normally this entire thing is full of quests, but we're actually getting pretty close to the end of the closed beta, and so I think they've essentially stopped doing things. But this section, you can see here, all missions will refresh in 22 minutes. So you can essentially pick up these quests here, do them, come back, and it's one way that you can actually help the town out. Now, when they're actually doing things properly, up at the top of the screen here, it will actually say, okay, you are helping towards this project or that project. So that's a pretty cool system. But yeah, another just sort of quick look of this town to give you a little bit of a feel for it. The towns are well designed. There's lots of stuff everywhere. And so far, I haven't seen any complaints about how anything is laid out. It's all beautifully done. And as I said, the game just looks absolutely fantastic. So from here, we're going to go ahead and switch gears. And let's move on to the big thing that everybody wants to see. Classes and combat. I'm sure some of you are asking the question of, wait a minute, we just went through the character creator, but you didn't pick a class. What's up with that? Here in New World, you actually build your own class, which is very, very interesting. Essentially, the weapon or weapons that you have make up your class. So if we go ahead into the weapon mastery system here real quick, these are the weapons that are in the game. As I mentioned, you're able to hold 2 weapons at any given time, and that, along with your armor selection, will make up your class. As you use a weapon, you level up the weapon, and you're able to actually put points into 2 different skill trees. Now, it's definitely recommended that you focus on one tree in particular. If you start to spread out the points too much, I think it's actually going to hurt your build. But it's been very interesting to see what people in the closed beta have been doing, trying out all the different weapons. And I do recommend, if you are going to play this game, and you definitely do need to try out every weapon to find the combination that you like. But something that people have been doing, they've been taking like the sword and shield and the life staff wearing heavy armor, and they're calling that like the paladin. So it really is all about just finding 2 things that you like and creating your own class. As I mentioned, in addition to picking the 2 weapons, that armor actually plays into this as well. So if we actually go to the character sheet, and this is actually the first time I've shown this to you guys, a very standard character sheet with lots of gear slots, inventory, all that fun stuff. But for this particular part of the video, we're actually looking at this, which is very interesting. So I'll briefly read through a couple of these. So for light armor, while wearing light armor, your dodge is a quick roll that covers a lot of distance, and you deal 20% bonus damage. For medium, while wearing medium weight armor, your dodge is a quick hop, you deal 10% bonus damage, and your crowd control debuffs you apply last 10% longer. So you can now kind of see what I'm talking about as far as like building your class. Again, you're choosing 2 different weapons, and then what do you want to do for armor? So I'll say so far here in the closed beta, the combination that I've really been enjoying is the spear musket with light armor. So let's go ahead and get into the actual combat itself so I can show you how this works. The first thing to know is the combat system in New World is actually an action combat system. There's no tab targeting. There's no lock-on for the most part. Healing does have some lock-on, and then there are some spell-casting abilities that have lock-on. But for the most part, no lock-on, all manual aiming with the targeting reticle you have on the screen. So for the melee weapons and the ranged weapons as well, you have a light attack. So we'll go through the combo here of 1, 2, 3. And then you have a heavy attack. And then, as I sort of mentioned, when you're actually going through your trees, you're picking up abilities and your passives as well. So here for the spear, I have a vault kick, which does a stun. I have a triple stab, which is a bleed. And then just a regular, like, power attack. So let's actually go over here. There's some higher level skeletons. I'm actually level 18. I think these guys are 20-something. And so I'll actually fight these guys and show you how this combat system works. 2 other quick things. As I mentioned with the armor, there's a full dodge roll system, if you choose to partake in that, depending on your armor. There's also a full blocking system. So you can actually watch the enemy animations, block their attacks, and then counterattack, so forth and so on. So we'll go up here real quick and see what's going on with these skeletons. Hello. Pop them there, pop them there. All right, boom. Block his attacks. Going for my light attack. Block him again, and he dropped some shoes. Well, look at that. I'm actually really enjoying this combat system. I find it to be a lot of fun. Come on, hit me. Good, skeleton. It's very quick. I think it's very cool in PvP. Here's two guys. Nope, stun you. Gonna dodge roll out of that. Going for a long attack there. Dodge roll out of that. Hit him with the power strike. Dodge out again. Triple strike. Huh? What you got, buddy? What you got? Some would say I'm doing a terrible job. Nah, we're fine. We're fine. It's actually a chest over here. What have we got? Oh, we got some spark metal. I'll go ahead and grab some food here. So that's how you heal up in this game. Part of the crafting system, which we'll get into a little bit later. So we'll actually go down here. I'm going to try and go through a bunch of different weapons, kind of rapid fire here. So that's sort of a look at what the spear can do. Now let's take a look at the gun. If anybody is a fan of third-person shooters, that's exactly what this is. Again, it's all manual aiming. So you got to aim your shots. There is one other cool thing about this MMO that you don't see very much in other MMOs, and that would be this. A full prone system and crouching as well, with full aiming with the gun. Now, this game does not have traditional stealth. You know, this isn't like World of Warcraft where you're playing a rogue and you hit the button and you go invisible. So this game doesn't have that. Now, I do think the devs need to do a little bit of clarification on this, but from what I've read, if you are prone or you are sneaking like I am now, it does make you harder to see, which does include your nameplate. So, there's actually some more guys over here. So, I'll show you a little bit on how the gun actually works. So, I only have two abilities on the gun. I've got a power shot and a multi-shot, or it's more like a rapid fire. So, we got some guys over here. I'm going to go ahead and load my power shot. And we'll load the multi, and here we go. Got him. One down. So this guy here, he's got a shield, it looks like. I'm going to wait for my powers to recharge. 6 seconds. Going to have to go for the head here, because he's kind of like holding that shield pretty high there. Alright, here we go. Power shot. Here we go. He shot back at me. Had to eat through the shield there. Got him. But definitely, if you like bow or gunplay, you know, this is exactly how it's going to work. Power shot load. Whoop, I missed there. Switching to spear. So you can see, you can switch very quickly on the fly there. And that's what the dual weapon set is all about. I do think that most people will probably go with one range, one melee. And you could even do, like, let's say you want to do a fire staff and a spear. You know, a fire staff is still spellcasting at range, so be an interesting combination to try. So actually, speaking of fire staff, let's go ahead and show you what that looks like. Yeah, I'll bind that. That's actually a new item that I picked up. So I have two abilities. And again, the staff has the quick attacks and the heavy attacks. So here's a heavy attack. So again, all manual aiming. Oh, dodge roll out of that. Actually, I got hit pretty good. But again, you can see on the spell casting, you can actually put this wherever you want, or it will lock onto enemies if you want to do it that way. Whoa, hey there, friend. Call in the meteor shower. And if anybody's wondering with the life staff, can you DPS with the life staff? Yes, yes you can. You can see nighttime is coming to the world. Also, if it seems like I'm not doing nearly as much damage with this as the other weapon, it's probably because I haven't put that much time into Fire Staff. I definitely think there needs to be some balance to weapons. Like, I actually think guns are a little weak. And I think maybe these staves are a little bit weak as well. Like, I did this this attack right here. It's like, that's not doing that much damage. But it could be also that I just don't have it, you know, upgraded. Alright, there we go. So, let's go ahead and switch to a different weapon. I'll actually show you a big ol' axe. Wait, I didn't have this one binded before? Crazy. So, I'll bring up the skill tree. Actually, for anybody who's curious, the Fire Staff, Fire Mage, and Pyromancer. So I was going down Fire Mage. For the Great Axe, you got Reaper and Mauler. I'm going down Mauler, which is essentially spin to win, which you will see here in a second. Here we go. Block that. Big chops there. Hey there, friend. Be nice. Right? Hey, look, it's a turkey. I won't eat you. I would never. Over here, we got another player. We can come up here and help them out. Looks like they're using a sword and board. This is actually a good opportunity to show you how healing works, since there's another player right there. Switch over to that life staff. So I can click heal. You can see it targets them. And it just instantly heals them, just like that. The other thing you can do is you can lay down an AoE. So there we go. That sits on the ground for a little bit. If I wanted to, I could have targeted the AoE on that guy. So he's actually standing in it, healing up a little bit. He's grabbing some food. I'll show you how the DPS works on the life staff a little bit. It's actually very similar to the Fire Staff. I like the wind up a little bit better though, which I'll show you here in a second. So here we go. Here's the heavy attack. Pop them good. I also like how the staff glows. I think that's pretty cool, especially here during the nighttime. Let's see, and I think I've got one other weapon I can show you. I can show you the hatchet. Now, funny enough, in the alpha, this was very OP, and apparently they nerfed it into the ground, and it's still, like, incredibly strong, which is crazy. Another really cool thing about the hatchet is the fact that the two builds, Berserker and Throwing, one is a melee build, one is a ranged build. I'm actually going to go ahead and do a quick respec here. And I'm going to go ahead and put points back into Berserker. And so I got 2 points left. Let's do the... If the target is below 30% health, Feral Rush deals 20% more damage. We'll grab that. And then let's grab base damage, or increase base damage by 10%. Actually, no, let's not grab that. Let's grab... I think I've got a guy coming in on me here. I heard somebody spawn. But yeah, the hatchet is very, very quick, very, very powerful. We'll come in here, we'll rage. We'll come in on this guy. Block that shot. And he's dead, just like that. Man, there are turkeys everywhere. I need the turkey quest right now. Heavy strike. Got him. Taking them down. So earlier I was talking about, I think a lot of people will have like a melee weapon and a ranged weapon. You could, in theory, just spec into hatchet range and that be your ranged weapon. So I think that's going to be a very interesting combination. Whoa, turkey didn't like that, chat. You can tell when I've been streaming way too much. I called you guys chat. Nope, took a couple shots there. Could have just rolled out of it. But yeah, just sort of overall, I think this combat system is a lot of fun, and there's a lot that you can do with it. One final thing that I will show you regarding classes and the characters. As you level up, you are putting points into Strength, Dex, Intel, Focus, and Con. You'll also notice that it does the little weapon pictures next to each one. That's basically the game saying, like, okay, if you're going Spears, you probably want to go Dex, maybe a little Con, and some Strength. You can also respec at any time, which is pretty cool. And also, regarding just additional leveling, you can see that I'm currently level 18, and there are also leveling rewards. And a lot of it is basic MMO stuff. So at level 5 is when you get your second weapon slot, 10 bag and duels, first house at 15, ring slot at 20, and sort of so forth and so on, which you can see right here. So, very cool little system. And I think with that, we will go ahead and move on to our next topic, which is going to be crafting and gathering as I'm getting attacked from behind. For those who don't know, Star Wars Galaxies is my favorite MMO of all time. And a big part of that is because that game had the best crafting and gathering system ever made. And I think I'm going to make the bold statement of, I think here in New World, the crafting and gathering system is the second best system that I've ever seen. And part of that has to do with one of our earlier topics of the world. They just blend in everything so incredibly well. So we're going to start by taking a look at that gathering system, which includes fishing. But essentially, as we're looking at this area right here, you see all these trees? I can cut down every single one of those trees, and it will visually destruct in the world. I could be standing here, and another player could walk by, cut down those trees, and you will physically see the player cutting down the tree, and the tree coming down to the ground. That is what I'm talking about. But yeah, let's go ahead and just sort of run around here for a second. And you may not have even noticed when I was running around before on how essentially everything just blends in. And now that I'm taking it slower and looking around, you'll actually see these little white circles pop up. So like, there's some flint, I'll grab that. Here's some brush, which is greenwood. Here's a tree, let's cut her down. Get us some wood. And the bigger the tree, the more difficult it is to cut down, so it requires a higher skill. Better tools also help out. And there she goes. Boom, tree dead. Here's some boulder. I'll go ahead and mine that for some stone. But the game just does such an incredibly good job of just blending everything in, and I'm probably repeating myself a little bit on that. We'll kind of come down here to the water a little bit, and you see these things. And some bulrush. We got some firefly bait, some reeds, some cob. But again, as you're like looking around, and actually the sun is actually rising at this point, so we're getting like an awesome sunset sort of through the trees here. What was that noise? A dinosaur? There's some more flint. There's a bigger boulder here. I'll grab that. There we go. So we actually have some animals across the water there. Actually, I think what we'll do is we'll pull out the gun here. Got a black ram. Alright, popped him. We'll run across the water here. The skinning system actually reminds me a lot of Red Dead 2. Oh, there we go. We got some red meat and some rawhide. What is that? A mountain cougar, level 20. I don't think I'm gonna have to power shot him. Let's load our other shot as well. Oh boy, you have a lot of health. Okay, here we go. Again, I'm only level 18. He was 2 levels higher than me. Thank you, kind mountain cougar. Let's cut into him here. But even doing stuff like this will raise your level in the zone. Got 32 rawhide there. Excellent. But yeah, let me just kind of run around here for a second and see if we can find some other, like, rare resources. I actually see, like, a really rare resource over there. So here's, like, a tree that's already down. I can come up to this and just, you know, tap into it here. Grab us some more wood. So yeah, what's this green thing over here? So this is actually a resource that stands out quite a bit. Okay, so that requires mining 50, which I don't have. There's actually another one over there. There's another cougar over there. We'll try and stay away from him. Grab that flint. Oh, here's like a rare tree. See this blue one over here? Don't think I... What happened? Uh-oh, hi. What's up? Listen. I just want your meat, okay? I'm gonna stun you. Your fault there, buddy. Ooh, got some farmer boots. Anyway, back to our tree before we were so rudely interrupted by that tiger. So yeah, weird wood requires level 100. Here we have some brush. We'll go ahead and we'll grab that. But I'm trying to see if I can find a quick example of something a bit more interesting that actually blends in with the environment, just to kind of show you a really good example. Hey, turkey. You know, we need some turkey meat. Hey, we got one poultry. Okay. Yeah, you got. I'll let you live. You need to get out of here. Got some more green wood from that guy. But yeah, I think you can kind of see what I'm talking about. But there's times where I've run across, like, a plant that just completely blends in with the environment, and it's like, oh, that's actually carrots, or that's a blueberry bush, or, you know, something along those lines. So the game has, like, all that stuff. What is this tree? Is this a weird tree? What's this? No, it's just a young tree. Okay. Oh, let me roll out of that. Otherwise, he's going to attack me. Is this something different? Nope. Just a different colored bush. Thought I heard something weird over here. Oh, what's this over here? Is this another one of these green crystal things? Yeah, it is. Oh, no, this is something different. This is, Oh, no, it is. Okay. I thought the leaves were different. There's another cougar over there. Kind of getting up on top of this hill over here. But it's just fun to sort of run around this world and explore, and getting into some rocky territory here. There's a deer. Come back here. Here's some iron. I see you. Oh, here's some nuts. It's like going in between them trees. I had to stop and aim for a second. But yeah, like those nuts that we just found. That's like a perfect example of something that just blends in with the environment. But yeah, I just think that this gathering system is just very cool. when you combine it with how the world works, and then the crafting system, you know, as well. And speaking of crafting, let's head back to town and see exactly how this crafting system works. Before we jump into the crafting system, I almost forgot to show you guys fishing. So let's go ahead and check that out right now. The fishing system in this game is actually pretty good. It's one of the better ones that I've seen. It's also got fishing broken up into two different categories, freshwater and saltwater, and off the top of my head, I don't know of any other MMO that has done that. So you actually hit F3, which actually puts you into the fishing mode, and from there you're able to do either your freshwater bait or your saltwater bait. Some of the bait we've been collecting, and as you will see from the cooking system, you can actually just straight up make some bait. So I got a bunch of fireflies, so let's go ahead and just equip some fireflies. And we'll get a little bit closer to the water here. Not sure, this is probably like shallow to medium water. I guess let's find out. So we'll go ahead and we'll cast here. It is shallow water. So you wait for your bite to happen, and you have to press it before they get away. Oh, here we go. And then from there, the mini game starts. You have to sort of watch your tension, make sure the green thing doesn't change to orange or red. Keep reeling them in. Oh, that's too much. But I can see fishing being very relaxing in this game. We got us a perch. That's a baby fish. We need something bigger than that. Come on. Come on, game. And of course, because the fishing pole is a tool, you're able to get different fishing poles as well. All right, here we go. All right, ooh, that one almost got away quick. All right, reel us in. What do we got? What do we got? Oh, it's fighting us. There are also some fishing hotspot. Now, okay, that one is even smaller than the first one. Anyway, I was gonna say that there's some fishing hotspots in the game as well. You'll actually find certain bodies of water that are like, oh, this is like a really good spot for fish. But as you can see, you can just fish anywhere if you want to. Got him. Might have to switch our bait out, see if we can get something else here. We are getting nothing but perch here. All right, let's try like a different spot. What's over on this side of the lake? Anything? Let's try right here. Let's also change our bait. Let's do let's try some bread. All right. Anything hiding over here? We need like a catfish. Or trout. Northern pike. Something. Something bigger. I was gonna say maybe they don't like bread. I don't know. Ooh, this one. This is a bit more difficult. Oh, we got a trout. Hey, look at that. It's only a small trout, though. Well, at least they like the bread, apparently. Oh, did that say very shallow? Ooh, man. This is where you catch like a bluegill. Apparently, you can get like treasure chests and stuff like that as well. I think I've gotten like a boot or something. A fish sword. See, that's a perfect example. We just got some trash. All right. One more. Let's not get hooked on the rock there. Really very shallow over there too, huh? Okay. All right. Ooh, this one's fighting me a little bit. Okay. Maybe there was a big fish in the shallow end. Oh, another trout. That's better than nothing. Trouts are good. But, yeah, there's a quick look at the fishing system. I think it's really, really good. One of the better fishing systems that are in MMOs. It's not just throw out your bobber and press on it and then you get the fish. You actually got to fight it a little bit. But we'll go ahead and change gears. And now I will show you the crafting system. Regarding the crafting and gathering system as a whole, there's a lot of MMOs that'll be like, all right, you get to pick 2 of these and 1 of these and you can do nothing else. And this game does not do that. If we go ahead and bring up the trade skills, here's everything in the game. Here's all the crafting, refining, and gathering. You can do everything on a single character. So it's very, very cool. And back when we were talking about the world a little bit, I showed you that in the towns, how everybody has to work together to upgrade the crafting stations. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through just a couple of the crafting stations, and then I'll show you how the crafting actually works. So here is the stone cutting table, and basically what that looks like. Over here we've got the workshop. This is for muskets, arrows, tools, and housing stuff. And we'll be talking about housing later. Up here, this is the smelter. And again, you can see it's a tier 4. So here's where you can make all your charcoal and your iron and your steel and all that fun stuff. This right here is going to be the forge. And I think this is going to be a great example of showing you exactly how the crafting system works. And then I think we'll go over to the food table, and that's another one that really shows you how the crafting system works. So let's go ahead and make us an iron hatchet. So you can see that we're making just like a common tier 2. And as I scroll down, you'll see, you know, there's greens and blues and purples and legendaries and all that fun stuff. So we have to do some irons. We've got the iron picked. We have to choose some wood, which we've done. And we've got the leather set up. And this is where it starts to get a little bit more interesting, where you can choose like 2 additional perks. Then over here on the right side, you can see what the potential gear score is, the potential like attack, blocking, how many you can make, and all that fun stuff. So what we can do is we can come under here, and these are just things that you can find out in the world, and I think you can probably get some from quests as well. But these are all special modifiers that you can add to this weapon as we're crafting it. So since it's a hatchet, let's do wolf blood with strength and dexterity. And then we've got Azoth. And depending on how much Azoth you add, as you can see here, you can increase like your perks, your gem slots, so forth and so on. So let's do, we'll do 15. So it increases chance to add 1 perk, except, so you can see here, gem slot, very high chance, and we're getting strength dex. All right, let's go ahead and see what we get here. Go ahead and craft it. Oh, so we ended up with an uncommon, so we actually got up a rarity. And you can see here the base damage increased to a 78. We got strength and dex, and then we got chain ice. Ooh, let's see what that is. Then exit the station here. Pull up that new hatchet we just made. So there it is. That is what we just created. So as you can probably tell by that, it's a system that allows for a little bit of experimentation. And sort of like it has a degree of what you put in it can potentially make it better. And that's like, just like the slightest, and I mean the very slightest of how the Galaxies system was. Again, Galaxies was like the best system ever done. Nobody's probably ever going to redo it. But, you know, there's a couple of small elements of that in this system, which is pretty cool. But yeah, on hit, cause a chain ice attack that bounces between close targets? What? That's like a cool thing that we just made there. Very cool. Let's go over to another area here real quick. We're going to go over here. There's a few more stations that we can take a look at. And like I said, I wanted to show you the food one as well. Here's actually the arcane one where you can make potions and staves and that sort of stuff. Here's one for tanning. This one here is the loom. Over here is the outfitter, so this is like lighter armor. And then here is our food one, so we can make our rations and healing items and that sort of thing. So this one's kind of cool. So if we go like energized travel ration, you can see there's actually different kinds of things that we can choose here. So we've actually got sausage, red meat, I got some carrots, some corn, I found some strawberries out there. And then raw food is like everything that I've been collecting. So like I found some blueberries out there. There's some cabbage, some potatoes, a small dragonfish, sure, coconuts, string beans, some wheat, a bunch of the fish that I have caught, honey, mushrooms. So if we actually go a little bit down further on the list, it's like sausage. Well, what do you want to make the sausage out of? Let's do some red meat with some honey. Go ahead and make it. And we made us a sausage. So let's go back to crafting here. But yeah, you can see here like flour, butter, sausage, season, and there's a bunch of stuff that I don't know yet because I haven't leveled it up enough. But now we can go to that energized travel ration. We can throw in the sausage that we made. And we'll throw in a medium pike that I caught. And we'll craft that. And we'll exit the station. Hey, we got cooking to 25. Look at that. But yeah, hopefully that just gives you a little bit of a glimpse at how the gathering system works, how the crafting system works, and for me, it's something that has just completely grabbed me. You know, I haven't really got into a crafting system since Galaxies. You know, I played a lot of SWTOR, and to me that system was like, I don't care. It's like boring to me. Something like World of Warcraft is kind of like, it's okay. I don't see anything special about it. But I think just the combination of everything that this game has done, along with what's happening in the world, has made me very excited about this crafting system. And I can't wait to finally jump into it when the game launches and just go full bore into weapon crafting and be like the best weapon crafter on the server. If I can actually do that. Well, switching gears, chat, let's go ahead and jump into one of the big features of this game, and that's going to be the faction system. Now, there are a lot of people out there that have been sort of loosely following this game, and I've seen a lot of comments from people who have said, oh, we've heard that New World is nothing but a PvP game, and it has something to do with this faction system. Like, what's going on with that? I can tell you that is completely false. Yes, this game does have a lot of PvP, but there's a reason why Amazon delayed this game by a year. They did a big open alpha test, and a lot of Twitch streamers got to test it. And they got a ton of feedback about this game. They delayed it by a year, and in that year, they added a ton more PvE content. So, do you have to do PvP in this game? No. Is it like mandatory, or are you forced into it? Absolutely not. And that sort of goes into this faction system. So, somewhere around level 10, you have the ability to pick one of the factions. Either the Covenant, the Marauders, or the Syndicate. And once you do, you will get access to a special vendor. So we'll go ahead and we'll open up this one here real quick, since I'm part of the Marauders.
I salute you, fellow Marauder. We will never give up the fight. And in the end, we will emerge victorious.
So we have access to the faction board here, and there's a bunch of things that are happening here. If you pick a faction, you become a low-level soldier, let's say, within that faction. One of the things that you do is you're able to gain ranks within that faction. As you can see here, there are also a PvE questline and a PvP questline. So you're able to grab these. There are new ones. And actually, you can see right here, all missions refresh in 4 minutes. As you do these, you will get tokens, and you will get reputation points, which will earn you higher ranks. The tokens are for the buy rewards section, which is essentially a store. And the store is broken up into those different ranks. So right now I'm not a gladiator or destroyer or commander. So as I go down, these other areas are essentially blocked off. But this is just another way of actually getting items in the game. Maybe you're not big into crafting. Maybe you don't want to deal with the trading post, which is the auction house. You can do this to get items too. So the game actually gives you multiple ways of getting your gear, which is pretty cool. Now, if we go back to the big map here for a second, when I showed you this, you noticed that this was color-coded, and this is another part of the faction system. So you're able to gain control of the zones as a faction. Another really cool thing over here on the left side, you can actually click where it says Upcoming Wars, and it will actually give you information about both PvP and PvE events. And it actually straight up gives you the time. It's like, all right, the war between the Marauders and the Syndicate happening Monday, August 2nd during this time, and here's the location. And it's actually something that you can go and try and sign up for, which is pretty cool. Now, sort of jumping over to the PvP and PvE talk that I want to go through with all of you for this game. Let's go ahead and talk about just PvP in general. And some of this does go back to the faction system, and that's kind of why I'm putting all of it together in one segment here. So if you're really into PvP, what are the big PvP things for this game? One, the faction missions, which we just saw. You have open world PvP, and I will say that in the closed beta, there was a lot of open world PvP happening. And there's a part 2 on that, and there are open world forts. So if I go back to this map here for a second, we talked about the territory control. In every territory, there's also a fort, which is something that can be controlled. And there's sort of a double system happening here. So you can see that this zone is yellow. It's controlled by the Covenant, but the Covenant does not control this fort. This fort is actually controlled by the Syndicate. And you can actually click on it. You can see all the war info and the territory bonuses and all that fun stuff. So the game does a pretty good job of just like displaying all the information, which is pretty cool. So in addition to those 2 items, you also have the Territory War, which is a 50v50. And then finally, you have Outpost Rush, which is a 20v20. So those 4 or 5 things are sort of the main PvP focuses for this game. With the territory rule that can happen and the forts and that sort of thing, it's essentially like never-ending content for anybody who likes PvP. Now, switching over to the PvE side for a second, once again, you have the faction missions, which we just took a look at on the board. You have something called invasions. Now, if we go back to here, whenever there's an invasion happening, it will actually show up under this upcoming wars. And essentially what that is, the enemies or the NPCs of this game say, we are going to attack this town, essentially, and you have to defend it in like a horde mode style-ish combat scenario. In addition to that, you have corrupted items, corrupted portals, and monoliths. So looking at the map here, you see all of these red items. So these are essentially random spawns of these corrupted that have taken over these areas, and players have to come in and clear these areas out. And then finally, sort of the last couple of big things for PvE. One, you have expeditions, which is essentially dungeons, and I believe the first one is either at 20 or 25. And then the last thing that I'll discuss, and this is maybe a bit more on the bigger side, is I haven't talked about the main story for this game. And what is the deal with that? So I can tell you that the main story of this is very much a side thing. There's MMOs out there like SWTOR, like Final Fantasy, that are technically considered a RPG MMO. So the story is a major focus. You have cutscenes and dialogue and all of these things happening all the time. This game is not that. This is an MMO RPG. So the world, the combat, the crafting, that is the main focus. And as I said, the story is a little bit of a side. That being said, every main story piece that I've come across has been fully voiced. There's no cutscenes or anything, and it's all done in-engine. And I think I can actually show you how that works by talking to this person, maybe.
Have you spoken to Survivalist Lee? He hasn't said a word to me in some time.
Oh, by the way, he's my cousin. Isn't that what you wanted?
I don't know. Perhaps I was too harsh on the man. I know I sometimes come off as a goldfish, but when you've loved and lost, it's hard to move on.
Is there anything I can do?
Yes. The friend I spoke of before, Audrey Kelleher. She was more than a friend. I gave her my brooch. Recover the brooch from the Kelleher farmstead.
Okay, and that right there is actually a bug that I've seen in the game where they're talking and then all of a sudden the dialogue just cuts out. So I'm sure they'll fix that for launch. But that right there is a perfect example of how the story actually works in this game. So as we were talking there, it was actually in engine, and players could actually walk in front of you. And when you have a system like that, it's very much a side system. So I think moving on, everybody, we're going to switch over to the final sort of main topic for the video. Let's take a look at that housing system. I'm sure there's some debate out there about which MMO has the best housing system. You know, Galaxy's had a great system. I think WildStar probably had the best housing system. So looking into New World, is this housing system going to compete with any of those? Maybe? Is it going to be the best? No, probably not. But it is kind of interesting that the New World housing system has a bit of a competitive nature to it. Wait, competitive decorating? Is that actually a thing? I guess it is. So, you're able to have more than one house. And as you're just simply walking in the towns, you'll actually run across property that you can buy. Here's an example right here of one that's 10,000 gold. And then we have another one over here, and I think this one is also 10,000 gold. So we'll actually go into one of these houses here in a second, just to give you an idea of what they look like. There are different tiers of housing, and the town that I'm in is kind of one of the starter towns, so I think it has the smaller houses. And as you get to the bigger, sort of more advanced areas, you'll see probably the bigger houses. But the interesting thing about the competition nature is if you click on any of the houses, you'll see that it lists a top 20. So if you're someone who's really into decorating and you want to be in that top 20, I guess competitive decorating could be your end game? Maybe? The other really cool thing about this housing system is the fact that it's got a freeform placing system, which, yes, thank you. The freeform placing systems are the best. They're the 100% way to go. Any game that uses like a hook system, that's terrible. Because it just doesn't allow for enough customization. So this guy here he's number 1 at 49,000 points. Let's check it out. It's cool that it just instantly loads you in and you can still see like other players running around. So he has like a front yard, and apparently he's got a couple bunnies over here. And we'll go ahead and we'll go inside. Now again, this is closed beta, so I'm guessing that 49,000 is a low score. Because you look around, he doesn't really have much in here. He's got a dog, though. But as I'm sure you can imagine, these start out completely blank, and then you're able to put things, you know, wherever you want. Actually, he's got some stuff hanging on the wall here. He has a saw. Okay. A little bit of a backyard area. We'll go up to the upper floor here real quick. got a dresser, and hey, he's got a... That's actually a really nice place to put the bed. Nice little fireplace. So yeah, just a nice little 2-story, 2-room, cheap little house. The houses do have personal storage, and depending on the size of the house, that determines how many storage containers you can have in it. You can also teleport to your house. So as I mentioned, people are going to be able to have like 3 or 4 houses. I'm sure they're probably going to spread them throughout the land so they have multiple like teleport points. Let's go check out that other one here super quick. Over here. Actually, was there a 4th one here? Oh no, that's like a tavern. Had to check. So yep, this is another 10K. Only 2 people here. So a little bit of a front yard and like a little side yard that you can mess with. Just gotta like mow this lawn. Man, it's out of control. This guy's putting stuff on the ground. I don't know. That purple rug clashes with the red. I don't know. I don't know. Has he got anything upstairs? Nope. But you can see the configuration is a little bit different. But yeah, personally, I'm 100% down for doing some decorating of my own. I think it's going to be a decent housing system. I will mention that if you are not in that top 20, you can still invite people to your house, but you have to do it directly. But one of the perks of being in that top 20 is the fact that anybody can go to your house. And again, that's sort of where the competitive nature is going to jump in just a little bit. So switching gears one more time. There's just sort of a couple other like little things that I want to talk about before we get into sort of my ending recap. There's a lot of MMOs that you'll jump into, especially World of Warcraft, where I'll jump into that game and I'll be like, oh, this UI is terrible and I have to install like 1,000 mods. I think the dev team for this game, they took a lot of time looking at other games, looking at other MMOs. For this UI, I have almost no complaints. I have like 2 very minor things. One being, kind of wish it had a mini-map. As you can probably tell, they're using the directional thing at the top instead of a mini-map. So that would be like one thing. But for the most part, they have everything like exactly where I want it. You know, I don't have a problem with where anything is. So they just did like an excellent job of that, and the map is really good, and just they seem to have like everything in the proper place. There's lots of filters that you can mess with to change things around. I'm just generally very happy with the way that all of that looks. Also, sort of going into this a little bit, as far as gearing, I didn't talk about the fact that the game has a dye system, and it has a little bit of a transmog system. At the moment, there really isn't too much to look at, but you can click on an item and do change skin. And right now, I've only got 3 items listed, and 2 of them are like, I don't have access to, essentially. So that's pretty cool. And then if you look at the dye system here real quick, it looks like the dye system is going to be pretty good. So if I click on my chest piece, it actually brings everything up, but you'll notice that it has like primary, secondary, accent, tint. So you have the potential to do like a lot with that. And it's cool that you are able to preview everything, as you can see right here. So it's like, oh, what does this look like with a red, you know? So it's very cool that you're able to do that. The one other thing that the game is missing, and I can almost guarantee you that they're going to patch this in, there's no item preview. So if you get a new piece of gear, or if you're looking on the auction house or whatever, and you want to say, I want to see what this looks like, as far as I know, there's no way to do that. So, like I said, I'm pretty sure they're going to add that, because literally every MMO has that. The game has also done a lot with quality of life, and some of that has to do with some of the stuff I was just talking about. But the developers have done an excellent job, again, of looking at other MMOs, being like, all right, we have to have these certain quality of life things. One thing is, you know, my inventory is getting very, very full. If I put all of this stuff in the bank, and then I go to craft, it auto pulls from the bank. That's like very, very good. Very, very nice. There's also a give coin system, so you can just like give someone money. And funny enough, that's how Galaxies did it too. Galaxies did it with slash commands. And I kind of see this as just a more advanced slash command. It's like, I just want to give money to somebody and just do it. Or you can do it to your guild, which is your company, which is also pretty cool. So I think with that, I will give you my final thoughts, and then I will also answer the question of who do I think this game is for? Which is always an interesting one. So going back to the story bit for just a second, if you are somebody who plays MMOs for the deep, deep story, that is like the #1 thing that you do, I don't know if you'll like this game. There is just not enough story there. As I said before, it's a side piece. So you can't really go into this game thinking, all right, I'm going to do story, 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 story. That's not what this game is. Now, on the other hand, if you are someone who's big into PvP, you love open world PvP, you love different modes, you love controlling, I think you're absolutely going to love this game. If you're someone who does only PvE, I think you're going to love this game. There's a lot to do in PvE. There's the missions, the invasions, the corrupted stuff, the expeditions, the little bit of story stuff that there is. And I think probably the bigger thing on top of that is if you're someone who really enjoys a good world, you enjoy a good crafting system, you enjoy a good gathering system, this game is for you. If you're somebody who enjoys a good action combat system, if you're like, and I've seen people even here recently say, I'm so tired of these tab target MMOs. I want something different. Here you go. We got something different. And it's a very good action combat system. The only complaint that I have about this action combat system is the fact that when you are mid-swing on a weapon, as I demonstrate... Oh, put the gun away. Put the gun away. Safety off. If you are mid-swing on a weapon, right, and an enemy attacks you as you're doing your mid-swing, you cannot block fast enough. You have to let the animation finish before you can do your block. And so there's no iframes. So that is kind of a problem. If you're somebody who's looking for a very precise system, it's not that. It's a bit more of a wild system, and it relies a lot more on dodge rolling and stuff like that. So you just have to really watch close on the combat system, and I think learning the enemies is another one. If you fight the same enemy over and over again, you will eventually learn their moveset. It's like, okay, I'm going to fight this skeleton guy, and he's going to do this, and then he's going to turn white, and he's going to swing at me, and so you'll be like, okay, I know he's going to do this here in a second, so I'm just going to wait a second and not attack, block or dodge roll, and then maybe, you know, come in with like a heavy attack on him or something along those lines. So hopefully that gives you somewhat of an idea of my thoughts on who is this game for. So we'll wrap up this video with what are my final thoughts about this game. And when they did that alpha preview on Twitch, I looked at this game for like 10 minutes and I was like, nah, no thanks. Not interested. It doesn't look that good. And then it got delayed, and they put another year's worth of work into it. And I started to hear the whispers from people saying, you know what, this game is kind of good. I was like, all right, let me get into the closed beta. And honestly, this game has blown me away. The world being the #1 thing that sold me on it. And then actually, I think early on, it ended up being a combination between the world and the action combat system. And then it's like, just as you're going through the early levels, the other blocks started to fall into place. It's like, oh, here's gathering. Here's crafting. Here's the faction system. Here's the player player town running system. Here's like all these quests you can do for the town. Here's the quest you can do for your faction. Here's just like, here's a solid fishing system. So it's just like everything started to fall into line for me. But in particular, I think the crafting system just really grabbed me, because in Galaxies, that's what I did in Galaxies, is I was one of the top weapon crafters on the server. That's all I did. It's like, all right, go scan a planet, put down my harvesters, get Lovier copper, check out the stats, craft the weapons, put it on my vendors, and just no system has even come close to that in all these years. This game, like I said, might have the second best crafting system that I've seen. It's still nowhere near Galaxies, but I think it's the closest that I've seen. And that gets me really excited for that system. And I think Ashes of Creation, I think that game was going to be my next MMO, because Ashes is straight up doing things from Galaxies. Like the ability to like own your own shop and stuff like that. And so I really wasn't expecting to get into another MMO until Ashes, and Ashes is going to be like 2023, something along those lines. But this game has completely won me over. I think it's just absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait for the launch on August 31st, and hopefully it doesn't get delayed. I don't think it will. I think they're pretty well set. One other thing I wanted to touch on that I don't think I've touched on in this video is I've seen a lot of chatter online, people saying, oh, this game's not launching with enough endgame content, it's gonna fall apart, blah, blah, blah. And my response to that is, oh, wait, you mean like every other MMO that's ever come out, launching with not enough endgame? I'm not surprised. And I think the game is going to be just fine because of all of these other systems that it has. It's like, sure, it's not launching with a raid. Sure, it doesn't have 20 endgame dungeons. But for launch, it doesn't need that. Go do all this PvP stuff. Go do all these PvE things. Keep building your towns. Keep building your factions. That's what the end game is at start. It's all that stuff. It's not, I'm going to be doing 20 raids. It's a different kind of game. It's not a World of Warcraft. It's not a SWTOR. It's very much a different kind of game. And I think Amazon probably knew that they had to do something different, because if you keep doing the same old thing, that's why a lot of those MMOs keep dying. And Ashes is very much doing that as well. Ashes knows if they want to be successful, they have to do something different, which is why they're doing the node system and the caravan system and all the crazy things that Ashes is doing. The thing is I actually think that this game took ideas from Ashes, because a lot of the ideas that Ashes had, those ideas were announced in video form years ago, like many, many years ago, when they were doing all of their like online funding and stuff like that. So I can see like Amazon or any other dev looking at those videos from, I don't know, 5+ years ago, being like, oh, so you're doing this player-run housing, or this player-run town thing, and you're doing this node thing where you capture zones. We can do that, and we can build it faster than you. And that's exactly what they did. Now, I do think the Ashes system might be a bit more detailed. We'll have to see, right? But the way that this game does it is still, like, absolutely fantastic. Is the sun... I think the sun must be going down. Like, the shadows are moving here, and it's, like, being weird. But, yeah, just overall, final thoughts. I'm completely hooked on this game, and I'm planning on probably doing some sort of launch party for it. We'll be running a guild, picking faction, server, all of that on launch day. So if you're interested, stop by Twitch, check out my social media, check out Discord, and we're going to figure out where the community is going to be playing. And so it should be a lot of fun. And so I think with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to go ahead and do it for this video. Make sure you comment down below, like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things, and that will help me out very, very much. But yeah, big thanks to everybody who watched this video. Do appreciate it. And I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of your day or evening wherever you are in the world. And we'll see you guys next time. So have a good night, and we'll see you then.